Hello, everybody, and thank you once again for tuning into this beautiful podcast for those who believe. And it's all about the Casa, our Casa brothers and sisters. And I'm delighted today to have you, Tamara O'Brien, another Irish namesake. And we were just laughing there about our connection to Ireland, and your father and Irish Buffin, as we call the Buff, and Ireland is enjoying a nice summer, which means it hasn't rained for a week, so there's water shortage. It's getting chilly, but it's nice. And I know Abidjania is going through the dry season and a lot of the burning season, as we call it as well. So, um, welcome. And also, you're there in San Diego, and I'm here in Ireland. So, the Casa family are spread all over the world. So, it's really exciting. The internet's great to connect us. We're right here, right now. And I wanted to open up by just asking you how you heard about the Casa. And when did you come to the Casa? Uh, and just take it from there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Grainne. I'm just so delighted to be here with you. And you truly have been such a huge light and inspiration in my life. And I don't think you get to hear that very often, that how many lives you've touched without even knowing it. So you truly, I will never forget all of the times that in the Casa, hearing you taking us through current, saying those prayers, and just it really, those were really special moments to me. And your passion, your excitement, um, I could feel that divine life force just traveling through you, and you really inspired me to walk this journey as well. And so thank you for all that you have done and then continue to do now through bringing us all together again, because I think this is what the world needs more, like you were just saying before we started, the togetherness, with an open heart and open mind, and just remembering we're all in this together.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
none of us get out alive. We got to have a sense of humor, and I think that's what us Irish girls bring, right? Uh,
Absolute.
yeah. So how I heard about, so yes, thank you. I'm Tamara, and I found out about the Casa. I first went to the Casa in 2014, and it was a three-time thing, which I always kind of listen and watch for. So I had read about the Casa in Oprah magazine, because Oprah had been there and she had experienced healing. And then I was working in an environment in Northern California that was quite toxic, quite not so good for my mental, emotional, spiritual health at all. And someone had given me, oh, there is a place in Brazil, and there's a lot of healing that happens, and it was a videotape. And it was all about the medium and the casa and all the healing that happened there. And then it was a third person. We had a conference, and the Brazil team was there. And this gal who was a Brazilian teacher said, oh, I live in Brazil and you need to come and visit me. I would love to have you. And so it was this divine coming together for me, because I was sending out to the universe. I needed help. Physically, I was in so much chronic pain from an accident.
Oh,
I had gotten chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, and that was pretty debilitating to live with. And just, I was facing, I've been in recovery now from alcoholism that runs in my Irish family. Um, yes, for 11 years. So
I gave up. I just gave it up.
me too. Me too. So it was right before then. So it was like this beautiful meeting of my mind, body, spirit, everything was really calling for, I need help. And the doctors were not going to help with these things. You live, you're in chronic pain, you have a toxic work environment, you're suffering from, a disease of mind, body, and spirit, and alcoholism. And everything was just saying you need something bigger than what medical has to offer.
Mhm.
And I had put that out to the universe. I just need help. And, for every doctor that told me there's no cure, you're never going to be out of pain, you're never going to really walk without pain. And the fatigue was just debilitating. So I heard about the cause and I said, you know what? I'm going. I'm going, and I got the book. There is a beautiful book. And I started reading about all the miracles that started happening there. And
Mhm.
I just thought this is for me. And I booked a trip with a guide, and it was a 2 week guided process. And I was terrified. What is this
Oh,
foreign country? What is this,
yeah.
weird healing that's going to happen? Well, the weird healing, I was like, oh, yeah, I totally believe in that. I didn't actually have any that was for me. But I wasn't sure, like, oh my gosh, is Brazil like dangerous? What am I gonna do? So this guided tour, I was like, okay, let's do it. And I was terrified of even arriving to the Casa and how would I walk from the Posada to the Casa. I even asked, is there wheelchair access? Because
Wow.
I was just so debilitated in every way. And they said, yes, don't worry, we can get you there in a wheelchair. And so that was 2014. And
Wow.
I arrived there. And oh my goodness, Grania, it was just, I always say, you look at this place and it's a dirt road, one horse town, couple of donkeys, and a lot of people walking around in white. And you think, what have I just signed up for? And then you feel the place and it
Yeah.
feels like you're in heaven. It
Yeah.
truly, for me, I feel like I'm in heaven. And
Mm.
it's pure love. And
Yeah.
everyone is exuding pure love. Or their stuff is all coming up and it's not pretty. And we're all
Correct.
getting and then we're all getting triggered and we're all like, oh, what do I do? And it's all happening, right?
Yeah.
It's all there for us, not happening to us. It's happening for us. So I spent those 2 weeks in current, standing in line with the thousands of people that were there every day for healing. And what I experienced the first time going through those three separate rooms, just bawling, bawling, bawling in tears with the first room. And I thought, I didn't think, it was just happening. And then I got to the medium, and I remember I touched his hand and it was quick, but his eyes rolled back in his head, came back, changed color. And he said, I think, go and get the waterfall, the crystal bed, and he gave me a few prescriptions, but I knew something very divine was happening. Like people's eyes don't roll back in their head and change color while you're holding their hand. I was
Exactly.
like, oh, this is the real deal. This is you can't make this stuff up.
Sure.
And again, just sobbing and sobbing. And I thought something is just happening. My entire being is releasing. And then I just sat in they have the church pews to sit and and that was my first experience. It was just so not of this world and so I would just say so tremendously impactful. Like an earthquake was going through my entire body.
Wow.
And then just got back to the hotel. You're ushered back gently after your blessed soup and you go back to your hotel. And I slept for 24 hours, which, they say, please do that, stay in your room and everything. But I thought, well, there's no way I'm gonna, and I was
Oh,
out.
yeah. 22 hours I slept once. Like 22 hours. Not like
Yeah,
without waking up at all. Not even for a drink of water. I was like, what?
absolutely. So it's just that was my very first experience. And then they said, "Oh, you'll want to sit in the current, which is the energy that is going in session, where you're sitting in the benches. And Grania, you led us through the most beautiful currents with, Saint Rita came to visit me, which I didn't have any experience with Saint Rita. I'd never heard of her. But then during current, our eyes are closed and I'm starting to smell roses. And I think, oh goodness, they're spraying all this rose oil around us or something. And man, it's strong. And then I asked someone, maybe it was you afterwards, and I said, oh my goodness, they were really spraying all that rose stuff today. And they said, no, no, we don't spray anything. We're not spraying anything. And I said, oh, well, that was definitely someone spraying roses. I mean, and they said, oh, that's Saint Rita. Saint Rita comes and she helps us heal. And that was also part of Joao's story. She was helping him on his path. And so
Mm.
that was beautiful. I thought, oh my God, Saint Rita came and hung out with me during my meditation. Like, what?
So
Oh,
lovely.
yes. And just that the miracles started to unfold from there. Just the journey has just been beyond special and incredible. And at that time, like I said, I was in chronic pain, chronic fatigue, you name it, I had it. Um, and I put all the prayers in for me and my family, and you wouldn't believe, like I can tell you when you want to get to that part of the story, like where I was and where I am now, I'm a completely different person doing a different mission in life because of
Wow.
these experiences.
So the Casa, when you got there, that was your first time. So it changed you straight away.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and how many times did you go back to the Casa after that?
Oh, I couldn't get enough. Uh, I mean, I think that's like when you realize, oh, there is a special place on earth. And like I said, it is a one horse town. You are not there for the beaches, for the anything. There is
No.
nothing there, but the energy is so divine and so beautiful and so healing. I felt like I was home. And I think a lot of us feel that way.
Yeah.
That's my home. And I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like I'm home. I'm safe. My heart is beaming, and there's so much more for me to discover. This is my true self.
Mm.
And I would think when I'm there, well, why when I'm in the US or when I'm here, I don't feel connected. I feel depressed. How is that possible? Because right now I feel so happy, so connected. And I'm by myself. I'm walking through a dirt town and having a little fruit juice and meditating. But there is something really different. I feel so vibrant and alive. And I think it really is, this is the place where you go and remember your true self without
Yes.
all the layers of this world impacting us. It's like we get to feel that relief, that divine relief of, oh, this is the energy which I truly vibrate at,
Yeah.
and without all the pressure and everything. So I started going back, let's see, I think the next year, oh, in Grania, oh my goodness. So it was that trip. And then, so I finished it the 2 weeks. And then I told you I had a teacher friend who was in Brazil. I went and stayed with her. So it was my first time being in Brazil in a jungle house and waterfalls. And then my godmother sees I'm on Facebook in Belo Horizonte. She said, oh my gosh, Tamara, I'm in Belo Horizonte. I'm from here. I can't believe you're here. Come over for Christmas. So I do. And then she says, Tamara, what are you doing next? And I said, well, my friend and I were going to go see her friend in Rio for a few days, but I'm on disability right now. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm just in I'm just hanging on for dear life right now. Okay, no problem. She comes back to the table. So I've called my sister in Rio. You're gonna go after your trip with your friend. You're gonna stay with the family. You're gonna just be there, get to know the whole family. You're gonna love them. They're gonna love you. And by the way, they don't speak English.
Oh my God. That's
And
amazing.
And I thought, oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, except for the son and the daughter, but mainly, yeah. But you're just gonna love, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in pain. I don't feel good. What am I gonna do? But okay, these Brazilian people are so nice, and just like
Yeah,
you're gonna go stay with them. What? They don't even know me. Welcome to Brazil, the most open-hearted place in the world, I feel.
yeah,
So
they are.
I go to Rio and truly I meet my family and it was like, as my auntie says, angels meeting angels. I wound up meeting the whole family, staying with them. They adopted me completely. And I felt like it was the family I never knew. I had always wanted, needed. It was just such a big, loud, fun, together family, just so full of love. And then they had a crisis in their family, and I also had this Brazilian brother now who was applying to college in the US, in Boston. Well, what am I really good at? Getting into really hard colleges and graduate schools in the US. So I was able to help him get into college through doing all of his essays while I was there. And they
Oh,
were able to focus on their family crisis that was happening at the time. And the auntie was like, Tamara, if you hadn't been here, how would my son have gotten into college? You know, it was just so beautiful.
it
And
was
that's
God-given
again,
for sure.
exactly. And that is where I
And
knew,
the
oh my
energies.
goodness, these miracles don't just work right here at the Casa. They are start, and it transformed my life. I would go back every year for Christmas. I'd go to the Casa for a few weeks, and I'd go see the family for Christmas in Rio. And my life just became so blown open with love and
Beautiful.
this beginning of a new spirituality. That spirituality that connects us straight from the heart to each other and to God, whatever you choose to call God.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that when I went to the Casa, I was blown away. I went with my sister. Um, I thought I was going for her, and no, Padre Pio brought us. It's another story, but Padre Pio actually is an entity of the Casa, and he appeared to my sister. And I mean, she was just not having any of it because she was a lawyer, and because she had multiple sclerosis, I thought, she announced to me, "Okay, I'm ready to go to Brazil," and I thought it was because of all my efforts. But of course, she told me in Brazil that you're not the one who brought me to Brazil, Grainne. It was Padre Pio, and then she started explaining to me an ex-lawyer because she lost everything with multiple sclerosis, really cruel, progressive.
Oh,
She said Padre Pio brought us here, and I'm like, I didn't see Padre Pio in the airport in seconds. I bought when I was pushing a wheelchair. But anyway, we when we went to the Casa first, it was like we were held in the divine arms of God, and everywhere we looked, there was nothing but compassionate love. And on the back of everyone's jackets in 2003, and maybe in 2014 as well, was "How can I help you?" Basically, everybody was there to serve. All the volunteers were just serving. I ended up serving and realizing that on the walls of the casa in Portuguese and English is the words of Dominaccio, to love and to serve in all things for the greater glory of God, which is our mission on earth in a nutshell. And I was like, oh my God, it just unfolded. And then I ended up staying there for, 22 years. And it changed my life. It saved my life completely because I was in the comedy business beforehand and I would definitely be dead. Alcohol, drugs, you name it. So I really felt that we were being held by this unseen force. And again, the veil was being lifted a lot too. We were becoming very, very transparent. I had two eye scrapings at different times, and a physical scissors up the nose, which I survived. It happened to me. I mean, it definitely felt steel in my brain, and that sounds impossible, but it's not because Rita's
oh,
there.
I witnessed them. I would, and all my friends had them, and I would sit and see the stitches and the bandit and a little bit of blood, and yeah, I mean, you,
Miracles.
it is miracle. There's nothing short of it. Yeah,
An
absolutely. I saw it with
expansion
my
of
own eyes.
consciousness.
Oh
My,
yeah.
the whole expansion of consciousness, which it can never go back. The genie's out of the bottle now, and I tend to be very quiet and not very vocal about it here in Ireland at the moment because people
Sure.
would be walking away from me backwards, and thinking I was on drugs or whatever. And it's only for those with ears to hear. I mean, some people really do understand that these phenomena it's a real thing. And more now, as the veil is lifting so much now, I can really feel the surge, and we are really going through some amazing. It's a great time to be on the planet. It's just we are here at the coal face, if you like, of
Well, and we
uh,
chose to be here at this time. I think none of
yeah.
us were here by accident. And from what I understand, the souls were lining up on the other side to get here at this time. It's like being at the best rock concert you've ever wanted to go to, and the tickets are selling out fast. And if you're here on Earth at this time, man, even though you might not feel like, what am I doing here? This is hard. Hang in there because we all came here, and I think it is for that purpose of either helping to awaken everybody. And that awakening is just how do I live a little bit more from my heart and a
Mm,
little bit more with kindness and love and a bit of joy. Spread a smile, spread some love. And how do I get connected to my center? How do I get quiet and
mm,
listen? In this busy, busy, crazy world? Okay, I need to just quiet down. And then, yeah, we all signed up for this, which is incredible
I know.
and scary and fun.
Then we all came together in the Casa, and the divine spark was lit. I mean, in the current, we were working, the current is a chain of love and
Mm.
light. So we were all joined together by this divine spark, which will never leave us. And we are part of a huge Casa family. And that's why I'm so excited to be talking to you today, because we're sharing this with people out there who get us and get what we're doing in Abidjan and are doing there. And the energy has upshifted so much there that it's a new world. The world is only, the three-dimensional world, it really doesn't matter. That's just all fluff and trying to engage you and bring you into the obsessive, you know, um, just the chaos, which is not, you just rise above it, stay in peace. Silence is a prayer. I remember seeing that in the Silencio è un prece.
Yeah,
It was,
at the
and
overhang. Yeah.
I loved that from the minute I saw it, and everything about the Casa, the Trinity, and you said everything in trees, the Trinity, the triangle, its infinity, the waterfall, the crystal beds, everything was there to expand our consciousness. And we are um, on the verge of I mean, it's already happening. The breakthrough is already happening on the planet. Some of us are going a bit faster than others, but certainly, yeah, there you nailed it there when you said there's days I'm like,
Hmm.
really? You know, but then I just breathe and I realize, yeah, I can't overthink anything, and I just need to be present. And because the casa means so much to all of us in different ways, but in the same objective, the opening of our hearts. And a lot of people went back home after being there, not the first time, the second, and forgave their families and actually consciously lifted their vibration. So that alone is the work of God, and that's what we need to do. We need to forgive everybody, love ourselves, love our neighbors. I mean, and especially those who push your buttons. And there were so many people at the Casa, and it was heaving at
Yeah.
times, and people's buttons were being pushed, as you know. And that's where you really learn because they're your teachers, And I mean, when I started doing the prayers first, I was like a little kind of school teacher, I was like, you're late, sort of, and then I had to just really soften up and really get out of the ego and into the heart. That's the journey. There to there. It's short, but it's
For
life.
all of for all of us, right? I mean, If you learn nothing in this entire life, if you can move a little bit from the mind, the ego to your heart and spread that, you've nailed it. You've done, congratulations, you won the Earth Prize, you did it. Yeah, absolutely. And so the Casa was your catalyst and your instrument to be able to achieve that. And me too. I think it was my introduction to it. And even when the my tour guides, not my, upstairs guides, my real
Right.
life guides, when they said, "Oh, you're gonna sit in current, and current can sometimes last for 6 hours," I thought, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me. There's no way I'm gonna sit still for 6 hours." And after the 6 hours, I would come out. Whoa, what was that? And how was I able to close my eyes and just be in an energy for 6 hours with, just thousands of people needing healing and receiving healing? That was a miracle in itself. Like if you think you can't meditate, go to the Casa and you will feel that energy that will transport you into another
Yeah.
dimension where you're still, you're connected. And that's where all of the answers are. They're really in us.
Yeah, because in the stillness of our hearts, God speaks to us and God speaks vibration. So we were levitating out of some of those currents. I mean, um, I I had sat in a lot of long currents before I did the work as well. So I kind of had some experience and I was always like a cheerleader saying to people,
Mhm.
you can do it, you know. And um, as time went by, I mean, it really you could see people changing from the first day in the first timeline coming through. I saw people, and then on the last day, I mean, the goodbye line was later on. There's no goodbye line in the beginning when I was there, but I could see people in those 2 weeks, even coming into the cafe, completely transformed. You could see it in their eyes, and you could see it in the way they walked, the way they talked. They were completely different people. They had upshifted and shed anything that didn't serve them, and they were ready to go out into the world. And a lot of people asked, you know, "Well, how do you keep the connection when you're not in the casa? The casa is within us, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
all I have to do now is close my eyes and, meditate. Although I do have, I did over 600 currents in COVID. And sometimes I listen to myself and I go, how did I do that? Because the prayers, I seem to just pick it was the entities. I lift up a book and I just open it and the prayer would be there. It wasn't like I was scrambling for stuff. And everything just came together like a divine symphony. So the same way the Casa, even though the chaos was there, it just rolled along like this beautiful God work, God plan. There was
Yeah.
nothing out of this chaos came beauty and healing. And you said you cried, you bawled your eyes out in the first current room because it's the cleansing room, but tears are 1% water and 99% emotion. So you were really being healed.
Absolutely. And that was the miraculous thing for me when I look back. And so what I came in with, and I had been on a journey of, let's just say by that time, 10 straight years of doctors and physical therapists and psychiatrists and you know oh your depression is so bad you're going to need electric shock therapy and just here's anxiety medicine, here's pain medicine, here's antidepressants, and
Mhm.
here is $26,000 program to teach you how to live with all of this. You're never going to get better, but pay all this money just to live. And then I went to the Casa and it was, like you just said, shedding layer after layer after layer. And now I look back, I wound up going back there and living there for a while. I lived there for about 5 months in 2016, 2018.
Mhm.
And like I said, I was just back there last month and it's home to me. And I would live there again. Like I would move there tomorrow. Um, Truly, if I could have an income, anyway. But what I found was, looking back from that time, I'm now 11 years sober. and couldn't be happier.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It best thing I ever did. Just absolutely such a blessing. I have zero chronic pain, zero pain
Mm.
in any aspect of my body. I have a full-time job as a social worker. I used to be in IT, technology, running around in high heels and making money and not being terribly happy or not terribly of service in my life. And now I'm a social worker, 9 to 5. I help tutor a young man and I work with people with developmental disabilities all day, every day. I help other women in recovery. I
Service.
I'm an energy healer, and so I have my own healing nonprofit business. I now am a trans channel for the Elohim, the angelic realm. I help like connect with Mother Earth, and it's called Earth Keeper. Um, I, I
Lovely.
I don't even recognize the amount of woo-woo I have become, but it's, and like you said, you can only talk about this certain aspects of your life with certain people, and
Yeah.
you got to know your audience. You do not say, oh yeah, I channel a angelic realm, or I do acupuncture for the earth, and I do energy healing where you might go upside down and hang out there for a while. And I have seen surgeries where people get scissors up their nose. You just don't say that in public. And it's all real
Yeah.
and it's all been the most transformational journey. I have no anxiety. I have no depression. Uh,
Wow.
Recovery, energy healing. My work, all of my day-to-day aspects now have turned to service. And that is not that is not who I was back then. I loved being kind, etc. But I think being financially stable and successful, that was, I grew up in Asia. So that was kind of, you go to the best college, you go to the best graduate school,
Mhm.
you perform at the best company, and you have all of the accolades on your resume. And deep down, I wanted to just die every day. It was just so difficult life.
Mm.
I didn't understand. And this Casa, really, like you said, it was a spark that transformed the journey I was supposed to be on. And I think the universe just said, okay, you're gonna need, and it was my body that said, I'm gonna need to break down and just stop you in your tracks so you will get quiet and listen. And it
Wow.
did. And it was my, I wouldn't wish the journey on anyone to say, oh, you're going to be bedridden for 2 years. You're going to have doctors say you're never going to walk. All of those things that are scary.
Yeah.
I
And
learned
negatives, you know?
and
No, no
negative
hope.
and no hope. And that's Grania, that is one message I want to give to any one of your audience members listening is hope is the most beautiful thing in the entire world. And that was the one thing I clung on to when I thought, I don't see any hope. I've been told there is, your life is never going to get better, never going to go anywhere. And every dark thing that could happen and then I just said, what is hope? It's faith. I don't see the light other than I have to just believe there is light at the end of the tunnel. And all I have to do is just put one foot in front of the other. And the universe did. It showed up for me and said, okay, if you're serious about your healing journey, let's get to it. And it worked. And step by step, I started to learn the Casa, meditation, healing, and these beautiful people around the world who are truly like yourself here to help us all realize we're not on this journey alone. And there is hope. If you're suffering, there's hope and there's a way forward. And just don't ever give up. That's the main thing. Don't ever give up.
The Dalai Lama always said that never give up. And no matter how, I always say God gives the hardest battles to his best soldiers. And also, when you are brought to your knees, that's a damn good place to start praying, because we have been there, and don't damn, like it's, oh, my Irish mother's coming out now on me. and she used to just shake her head at me, going, "You're not going to mass anymore. You're not, because before I went to Brazil, I was a lunatic. I was in the comedy business. I was just drinking, smoking,
Yeah.
doing drugs or whatever. And everybody thought I'd leave my sister in Rio and go partying and stuff. But, she said, don't damn the darkness, light a candle. And that's
Yeah.
what I do here. I go to the church, the little chapel of St. Clare of Assisi, and I light a candle. And you know what? For years, I was lighting candles and I was praying for everybody. But COVID really changed me because the first candle I light is for myself. Put your own
Good. Yes.
on
That's
first.
amazing. Good.
Because if you cannot give from an empty vessel. And I was giving so much. And even in Abidjania, I was doing 16 hours a day. I was doing volunteering in the Casa, running to the cafe at 6 o'clock, getting home at midnight, and then getting up at 6 a.m. the next morning again and doing the same thing. So I never stopped to even feel I mean, I was receiving a lot from the entities. Of course, I wasn't burned out for some weird reason. But being in service really, really bolstered me. But I felt that here in Ireland, I always ask for help for myself because when I'm well, then I can help others. So, and that's how me too. I look after myself. I eat organic food. I make a special effort to treat myself. I'd be having baths now. It's getting cooler now, just detoxing in baths, and going to the church is so sacred because it's so silent and so lovely. So, yeah, look after yourself, number one, and then you can light the candles for everybody else. And you know what? God answers every prayer. And sometimes I go in and I'm like, oh God, I've missed opportunities and second chances. Here I am again, you know, because I really I know the prayers have been answered. And it's
Absolutely.
phenomenal what the Casa has given me. It gave me back my faith, and I live by faith and not by sight. But I had strayed on the path and I was completely lost. And it was my sister, and Lord have mercy on her, her ninth anniversary actually is on Thursday, but she's not close, she's not far away. She's beside me all the time. I mean, her physical presence, sure, we're all going to go someday. And she left a beautiful daughter, 26, who's in Boston. It was in Disneyland, and she's coming back tomorrow from Boston. So it's like we got our baby sister back. But there's pictures of all the family here, and then the ancestral work. It came to me before COVID, actually. I that I don't have kids. Um, I'm carrying. I learned all of this in the Casa because it came through in the current and it came through in meditation. And you know, I I'm carrying the ancestral lines. So my job is to work to transmute the ancestral lines. No pressure there.
Oh, oh yes. Yeah. I mean, we did not sign up for this lifetime to sit back and have a pina colada. The we are here to clean it up. And I think, and not everybody, of course, but I think I definitely, I know I'm the only person um yeah, and both sides of the at least immediate family that I know of that's actively working recovery. That's I don't know so much about the other, the lineage of spirituality, but I would say the buck had to stop with me. I had to do, it
I just
started
got
with yeah, it started with
the
personal
buck
development.
stops here.
Yes, and it started for me with personal development. Okay, let me take a personal development course. Let me go to therapy. Let me do those things. And then as the world kind of started ascending, it's like, okay, now we're going to up the ante. And I think those darker times that you and I have gone through with, you know, uh, feeling lost emotionally, physically, addiction, every single thing, running around the world thinking this is all there is. And then I don't think we get to that spiritual catalyst without all that difficulty. Because if you're living life, you're just, laying on a beach and working a wonderful job, you're not going to really have the impetus to change. And boy, did life hit me like a Mack truck to say everything's got to change. Everything you think you know is you, your career, your job, your friends, and your identity will all be stripped away. Your finances, your home, your ability to work, your any single thing you think is you will be stripped away slowly. And all you'll be left with is your connection to yourself and the divine. Now, who are you? And
Yes.
once I was like, wow, I am still here. And this is who I am without all of those labels. Then you can rebuild. And I think that's on offer for everyone. And you don't have to go through the hard times necessarily to have those realizations and to start living from I'm a soul first.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also the wounds that we carry, and there's plenty of them. It's where the light gets in.
Mhm.
I know Leonard Cohen did sing about it, but I did feel that, like the wound of Saint Rita on her forehead and the wounds of all the stigmatas. Saint Francis of Assisi was the first human stigmata on earth, and that was 1100s. I mean, the wounds are where the light comes in,
Yeah.
and because we are wounded and we are really begging the divine for help because you're right, you're stripped down naked as the day you were born and everything is taken from you. And that's what happened to my sister. She she lost her law practice, her husband, her daughter. I mean, she was such a brave soul, and she taught me, because I put my feet on the ground every morning. I know the devil goes, "Oh shit, she's up," you know. Oh no, she's up. I was trying to bring her down, man, and she's up. She keeps getting up. So, my sister taught me to be grateful to be able to walk to the fridge and open the fridge, and there's food in the fridge, and to be able to walk to the toilet because she was in a wheelchair. So that we learned from each other. And
Absolutely.
you're my sister as much as my sister, blood
Yeah.
sister is. So you have just nailed it there when you said everything has to be taken away from you to really, bear. You're raw. You're completely raw, and that's where you start. And
Yeah.
and we're survivors because suicide is never an option because I learned in the Casa, I brought so many suicides to the entity, and I, I mean, only God, and I was told again and again and again, only God can give and take life. There is
Mm.
no, that's a universal law. There's no other way. So that's tough. I don't tell people's families that have taken their lives that. I just, because
Yeah.
it's too hard. People can't accept it. I understand that. But I pray,
Actually, how
God,
I
I pray.
lost my brother that way 3 years ago.
Oh,
And but
sorry.
you know what? He was already in the triangle, even though
He'll be fine.
he,
He's fine.
yeah, exactly. Because I know, to be honest, I feel him right there as well.
Yeah.
You said you felt your sister, and I feel him, and he's just fine.
Mhm.
And we might have to come back and learn our lessons a couple more times or whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But truly, yes, that's where that don't give up part, when it gets so dark, man, is that hard to hang on to. I really do understand. And
Pray
it,
about-
it is amazing.
I
God
pray for his soul. And
does.
what was his name?
Sean O'Brien.
John O'Brien. You see, once you name to
Mm.
God, that will elevate him right up into the celestial fields. I mean, prayer really works. And
Yeah.
yeah, I will remember him in my prayers now, and I light a candle for him too. Because you
Oh.
know what? You are only human. Of course, you're gonna. I
Mm.
mean, how many times in our past lives have we taken our own lives or killed? I mean, I have killed a lot of people, because I had a
Oh, I'm
conversation.
sure I got around to.
I mean, I murder. I mean, I had murder written all over me. I mean, I know how to use a knife. Even in this life, every time I have a knife in my hand, I'm like, oh my God, how do I know so much about knives? But because I was on the battlefield,
Well,
Dom
and
Ignacio, you
Grainne,
know,
let me just stop you there. And I love you can say that because a lot of us grew up good Catholic girls, right?
yeah,
I love the fact you go to church and hold space for us having multiple lives to the point we can remember parts of them or all of them if you're able to. And I love the fact that you just said that because my mom asked me that question the other day. Well, Tamara, if you're connecting with the angelic realm and you're connecting with the other side, well, I mean, what does that say for your Catholic faith? And I said, it's an expansion of, it's not an and or, it's just, I see the Catholic faith that I grew up in, and then I've expanded my understanding. It's love on steroids, it's compassion, forgiveness, it's just a more expanded point of view without for my, just my own feeling and my own opinion is without the you're gonna burn in hell. But
yeah, you're the
but
guilt. Hell,
exactly,
you're going to hell in a handbasket. That's what I was told
always,
by the nuns. So I was going
always.
to
Me
hell.
too. I was going to hell. Oh yeah.
There was nowhere else I was going to go. And the nuns kept
Yeah.
telling me, you are, you're a demon, you're going to hell. But without the guilt, that's a beautiful thing. Thank you for nailing that as well, because there is no religion. God is
Right.
love, you know. There is no differentiation between any of us. Religion is a dogma, you know. I mean, with respect to all of the religious devotees and all of that, it's great because it's great to have faith, but we're all one and there's just one creator. So,
And you
there's
can go to
wars.
church. Yes, and you can go to church and access your beautiful connection with the divine there because it makes you feel connected. And it can also be when I'm sitting under a tree. That's what I find so beautiful. It's like we don't have to throw out church if that also makes you so happy. Wherever you feel love and connected is, as long as we are having grace and inclusion for all.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the problem in the world right now with, well, there's always wars. I mean, we see everything on the internet now and we become so blasé about this, that, and the other. But I mean, this has always been happening. I mean, before the pandemic, I mean, way back in the day, remember the plague? Oh God. I mean, there are people, the plague, it was just brutal, because at least now we're in the 2000s, at least there's kind of like, a little bit of comfort, like a bed, you just don't lie in hay and, part of your
Yeah.
body have fallen off. So, we are exposed to a lot of the cruelty of the world, but the internet has brought all this. That's why I love the internet when we talk like this, very organically and very, very wholesomely. But it has brought so much um, horror to our children and addiction, and of course, what's we're being exposed to. So I pray a lot about that, and I also know that we're evolving as well, and everything will be fine, and everything is okay already. But I pray a lot for the kids who really are, they had a different childhood than we have, and they are really in this um, dependency on their phones, on their and what they're exposed to, pornography, or the games where people die and then they just get up again. So, a lot of kids think, well, if I shoot somebody, they'll just get up again. And I mean, that does happen. So I, I, we are evolving, and at the same time, our job, I can't judge anybody, but I just uh, pray because I know that uh, in my prayers, because I'm praying for the welfare of the children who are the future, that everything will be okay and there will be we're in a new world already, and um, we need to rise above that three-dimensional, I don't, just and give them something to do, like
I
kick a
absolutely
football at them,
agree.
or whatever, and swimming. I mean, the kids out, I brought the kids out to the lake, and they're just like, oh my God, they weren't even thinking about phones because they're having so much fun in the
Yeah.
lake, with sandcastles and stuff. So this is new to them because, for the winter
Mm.
they're there, and then it's just the involvement of the planet is happening at such a rapid pace now. I can just see nothing but good coming out of the chaos, which,
And I
uh,
love that. I
yeah,
love that you
and that's
have
what I
that
project,
faith. And I
you know,
think that's what is also important for your audience to hear is that yes, there is an absolute acknowledgement. Is there chaos, darkness, fear? Yes. And there is also so much ability to connect into the love, connecting to each other, faith, healing. And it's what can I do in my small corner of the world? What can I bring the kids to the lake and see them jump for joy? Can I go to the church and light a candle and pray? Can I give a woman, which I just did the other day, I gave two people a mini healing retreat at my home with energy healing because the woman had just lost her husband and was devastated, and again to suicide. So can I
God,
help offer healing for anyone who wants it, needs it? Can I be of service and reach out my hand if someone needs a bit of a, don't worry, you got this. We'll say a prayer together. That's what we can do. We might say, oh my God, look at the world. Yes. And then what can I do? Can I get quiet? Can I meditate? Can I pray? Can I help?
yes. How can I serve?
Yeah.
And serve what is good and wholesome and um, elevate people, to elevate our spirits together. And this is really, really important. And it's so simplistic, I mean, we grew up very simply. We were out in the streets till 10 o'clock at night. My parents weren't even concerned where we were because they knew it was a safer world, And now I would like to be able to serve the world, which we're doing really by
Yes.
showing up every day and being kind. And as you said earlier on, smiling.
Yeah.
Peace begins with a smile. I mean, I walk down the street and I might meet in 100 meters to the store up the road, I might meet 12 different nationalities in Ireland.
Right.
I smile at every single one of them and I always say hello. And some of them say
Nice.
hello back, and some of them are actually like, you know,
Shocked.
talking to me, um, because they are my community and they have come here for whatever reason. Some of them may have been terribly from war zones or asylum seekers, or some of them just need a new life. It's a better life for them. So great. Let's get on with it. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
out there with banner, stop I mean, there's plenty
Well,
of room in the world for everyone.
and there but for the grace of God go I. You know,
I mean, I was
there.
welcomed in every country I went to. Okay, I'm white and Irish, but you
But
know,
if someone, and that's where I think the world also needs to hear, imagine if that had happened in your home country and you had no, I don't think there's a person on the planet who's just like, oh, let me uproot my entire life and hop over to some foreign land where I don't know the food, the people, just for giggles, unless you're an adventure seeker. But to be honest,
well,
no people who are struggling looking for a better life, I don't think we chose that. And again, that's where, how do we choose to act? Do I choose to bring more kindness and
yes,
compassion and say, oh, thank the Lord? And this person is my teacher. How I choose to react is because I feel that when we get to the other side, it's no judgment, but we will get to see absolutely how we've impacted another. So those smiles that you gave out, you will feel the recipient of that smile, that energy. And likewise, if we turned our head and walked the other way when someone you could see was really suffering, and we just said, "Oh God, all right, whatever. I gotta cross the street." I imagine we're going to feel that too. So I'm very aware of just being really careful with how do I impact the world? Because I do feel when I get to the other side, they're going to sit me down and say, okay, this is how you impacted the smallest things that we don't think about. So, you better cop that smile just because you can.
Don't say. And we're going to be running out of time now, but I did want to bring it together by saying, the Casa was like that
Yeah.
because the Casa and Medium João came out regularly and said in Portuguese, and maybe some people didn't understand him, but I learned Portuguese very fast. And he came out regularly and he said, the Casa is open to everyone. No one is discriminated against. There were people from 55 countries there on Dom Ignacio Day one day. And he said, there's 55 countries here today. And he said, they're all colors, all creeds, all belief systems, especially those without belief. I think that's why he was doing the physical operations. And he
Yeah.
said, everyone is welcome here. This Casa will not discriminate against anyone. Everybody will be seen and heard and healed.
Mm.
And also, he said, and he sat in the chair until everyone was seen. That's why the currents went till 7 o'clock some evenings. And the amount of love that was there, I mean, I cried so many times for sheer joy and love because he kept saying, the casa is a casa of love. It's for everyone. Nobody is not, you're not allowed, nobody can be barred. You just walk through those gates. Nobody will stop you. Everyone deserves to be healed, whether we have a body or not. There was so many disincarnates there as well, and they were all looking for the light, and I really think that's a microcosm of the world right now. And that we really need to take that lesson and carry it forward because the
Yeah.
Casa started that. We were all brought there. And, it's the world now in microcosm because everyone is coming. And Europe is completely multicultural, which I think, is great. And the
Yeah.
Casa was multicultural. So I didn't see anybody fighting. I mean, a couple of dogs were kind of, barking or whatever. I mean, that's what dogs do.
Oh
So this is so beautiful. And now we're together talking about it and multiplying this high vibration. And that's, if the podcast can just do that alone, just make us stop and think, yeah, what's the impact of a smile or a kind word or even, a little donation here and there? It doesn't have to be a lot. It means something to somebody, and paying it forward, like in our local coffee shop somebody bought somebody, it's a cup of coffee and a scone, or a
yeah.
croissant. So it's the beauty of that. That's what we really need to concentrate on, multiply, and everything else falls away. All the chaos just transmutes.
We all have a choice. Every day we wake up, we have a choice what we're going to focus on. And it doesn't mean we stick our heads in the sand, but we get to choose, all right, I'm going to focus on what can I impact the world with today? Is it going to be positive, negative, or am I going to just turn away? And I think, yeah, I love that you're doing this podcast, and I wanted to let you know that as I was preparing for my trip to go back to the Casa, because when you hear that call, you better listen because you're going to get there no matter what. I mean, there ain't no fighting that call when I don't, and that's the thing. I don't have an necessarily an ability to hear guides like some people. Oh, my guides told me this today, and I'm like, I want to hear that. But man, when I feel, it's more of a feeling that call to the casa. It's just like the vortex. You can't. And I love it so much. So I got there, and but before then, I was listening to your podcast and watching your podcast, all these beautiful interviews, and each one kept going, "Oh my God, that's right. It is so beautiful. Oh my God, that's right. The miracles are not only were happening, but are still happening." And literally, Grania, when I came back this time, I couldn't believe it hit me. And I was in the main hall just meditating. Every single thing I had asked God for, the Casa entities for every single thing I have been granted. It's just,
Oh,
that's
wow.
not miracle after miracle after miracle. I don't know what is. And did it happen overnight? No. But that's where I think the message I want to leave anyone with is have faith, do your part. You got to do your part because God does his part, but we got to do
Yeah.
ours too. And then if you're in need, I would say go back to the casa. It's so powerful. It's so energetic. It's so gorgeous. Fruity still has the best everything and the music on Saturday nights and all the people. I have friends there and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're all still here."
Yeah.
And new friends. I made more friends in 2 weeks of being there that sent me a big going away party. And I'm like, when does this happen in San Diego? Never. I can
No,
be 2 weeks without seeing anyone or, a little bit, but the love there is still so active. And there are people to sit and chat with at Fruities, and there are people getting pizzas, and the casa is still so gorgeous, and the pound de caju and the espresso are still hot at the cafeteria, and you know
the
the
soup.
crystal the soup, the crystal beds are in session, the waterfall, everything is as it was, and I would say,
For
and the
us.
vibration is
For
better
us. It's
for
for
us.
us. It's
It's
God giving us this gift.
yes,
All these gifts every day. It's
it's
amazing.
worth it. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone who has doubts, oh God, is it? Go.
Yeah.
Just pack your bag and go because you won't. Yeah, the blessings, the miracles in my life. This recent trip was my trip to say, oh my goodness, not only are you going to meet more fabulous, amazing people and experience
Yes.
more healing, and you're going to get confirmation. We answered every single thing you had asked for in healing.
That's so beautiful. Oh my God. What an absolute joy to even for you to share that with us. Thank you. And that's perfect way to just say goodbye to each other. Well, goodbyes are for those who love with their eyes. For those who
Mm,
love with their hearts and souls, there is no separation.
mm.
So
Thank
we're
you
not
so much
separate.
for having me.
You're my
Thank you.
sister, Tamara. Is it Tamara?
Well, you're Irish, so you can say Tamara. I say Tamara, and you know what? It's
It's
all
lovely.
perfect.
It's
It's all
beautiful.
perfect.
Ms.
Uh,
O'Brien.
God love the Irish, and I love you so much, Grainne.
Yeah.
Thank you for all
Thank
that, all the love you have brought to the world, not just through this podcast, but over your life, because I've been blessed to be a part of your inspirational light. And man, you're gonna get a major high five when you get to the other side. I tell you what. You're doing
you
God's work.
before then for sure.
You're doing God's work, and I'm so grateful. And thank you for keeping the cause of love and light and healing and joy alive and
Mm.
well to this day and through this interview. Thank you for including me in
Thank
this.
you for coming to and showing up for us all too. And that's beautiful wisdom as well. So, obrigada.
Obrigada.
Yeah.
Beijos. Ciao.
Oh, yeah, our Portuguese.